Hi, this is day 5 of the 30-day Hacker Rank Challenge. Remember, this is actually the 6th challenge since it starts at 0, both for Python and C++. So Hacker Rank starts at 0. We'll be going through a very basic for loop example. Within this problem set, it asks you to print multiples of 10 times 1 through 10. So essentially, we're given an input from standard in to derive the integer n, and then we do a for loop from 1 to 10 um, inclusive that times that integer by the ith value of whatever spot you're in within the for loop. So we'll go through Python, we'll go through C++. Remember, this is for HackerRank. Then we'll start going through some of the interview questions on LeetCode and HackerRank, and we'll get more advanced as time goes on. So right now, it gives you your bash script header information if you're running on Linux or Ubuntu, and it's essentially saying, run this in Python. And you're given libraries that we won't use here. If you're in the main source code, so if this program is the main has the main focus, then you can run the code below. And since this is Python, you can run this problem and implement the solution in about 3 lines. So you take the input and you strip it of any white space. In this scenario, you're just taking an integer value. So it's still going to be a raw string, but you're not really going to be concerned with the strip function or strip method in this particular situation. What's interesting here is that it's provided just for a generic template for multiple problems. And we've seen the strip method be used before that really shouldn't be there. So it's really just a generic template that HackerRank uses. Once again, that integer is converted to a raw string by default using the input function. So you have to use a static conversion of int that wraps around the raw string to convert that to an integer. After you convert that to an integer, we follow along the first step within our problem. And it's saying to run it from 1 to 10. Well, in Python, for the range function, the left value is, or the starter value is going to be what you begin at, and then it's exclusive, so it doesn't include the last value, so it'd be 1 to 10. If you wanted to just do it in one line and with one number in the range function, you could do it like this: for I in range 10. That'll run 10 values, and then you just have to add 1 for every I you see. But we don't want to do that, so we just have a start and an end value associated with the associated with the interval of our for loop. After this, we print the template, so it's going to be your integer that you got from standard in times 1 to 10 associated with the for loop, and then you display what it equals, or what the result is. In this scenario, when you're working with Python, you have to make sure that you convert your integer data type to a string, so you have to wrap that integer with a string function in order to print it within your print function. And the rest is pretty straightforward and pretty basic. Once again, this is not a difficult problem. We'll look at C++ now. Once again, same problem set. However, we're going to be implementing a different language. We talked about the left and the right trim functions last time. Once again, C++ requires you to declare it or implement it before you use it. So if you declare it before you use it, but then implement it later, that's okay. The compiler doesn't have a problem. Here, the left and the right trim does the same thing as split within Python. It's pretty self-explanatory. The left and the right really are no different, besides the fact that you're looking at the left side of a string and you're looking at the right side of the string to trim whatever's not, the data type you're concerned with. In this case, we're looking at integers. So just to go briefly over it one more time, you're returning a string value, and the left trim function is taking a constant parameter string that is passing it by reference to the variable string, or str. In this case, you're not allowed to actually change the pass by reference value, since it's with a keyword or declared constant. And what's interesting is they then copy the value str over to a string that they define within the function called s. So there's really no difference between pass by value, pass by reference, and then copying it over to another value here. I guess the only difference associated with, the only difference here is going to be that the function can't actually change the information stored at that value. So the end user would pass the information to the left trim or right trim function, but the function itself wouldn't be able to change it, so it takes that extra step. Now, if you had security conscious programmers, then you could pass by value and save the conversion here, and it would be about the same, but HackerRank's taking the perspective that the programmers are separate from end users, and so they want to make sure that that str value that's passed is not changed within the function. Once again, you want to clear the left or the right side of the data type of interest that you're looking at. So you use a string method called erase. It takes iterators, so you start at the beginning of the string memory address, and then you use another method. You use another function, find if, that takes iterators to determine if something's not an integer or data type integer, and it erases it. Going back to the main function to solve the problem that we're interested in, we're using the standard library namespace, so we don't have to use std : in front to define this, namespace resolution. Here, we're also defining a string ahead of time, end type. That end type then is passed to the getLine function to take the standard input cn and then store it at the end temp string variable. For C++, we've already talked about the functions rtrim and leftTrim. Essentially, it's going to take the information stored at the end temp variable, string variable, and it's going to cut off the right side and cut off the left side that's not associated with the data type integer. And then, since it's a string, you have to use the string to integer function that's defined in the standard library that then converts it to an integer, and you store it to another defined integer int n. Once again, we're taking the for loop from 1 to 11, non-inclusive, so exclusive in this situation, and we output the same format as seen before. And that's day 5, which is really the 6th challenge for the 30-day HackerRank competition. I look forward to going through the rest of these challenges with you and to continue developing advanced algorithms to help you in your programming career. I'm a network engineer by trade. I love cybersecurity. Cisco is really harping hard on DevOps, and a lot of the traditional IT functions are being replaced with development and operation teams. And so being familiar with Python is definitely a way to boost your career, definitely a way to get more involved in the position you're at if you're an IT professional. So I recommend continue to learn Python each and every day. Once again, thank you for your time and have a great day. Bye.